Hey, this isn't my usual videos. This video is going to be completely different, but I really wanted to talk about this. 6 months ago, I bought the Galaxy Z Fold 3, one of the folding phones by the Samsung line. As you can see, it folds out into a tablet and then right back into a phone. Now, when I first saw this, I thought this was amazing. And then I thought, I'm never going to be able to afford this because it's probably going to be like thousands of dollars. And it was. I bought the phone anyways, though, because, well, I really just wanted to try the new technology. This is something that was so cool to me, that you could have a phone and a tablet. And at the time, I was switching between my phone and my tablet when I got home anyways. See, I had the Galaxy S10. I actually still have it here with me. And I upgraded to the Z Fold 3. And I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons. I'm not a professional. I don't really do reviews because I don't think that I'd really do them well. So this is going to be a kind of scuffed review, but it's going to be real from the heart. I'm not being paid. I paid for this phone all on my own. So this is the most realist review, and I've had it for a bit, so I think I can give a genuine review of it. Anyways, let's start off with some pros. Obviously, it's a fucking tablet, so that's an immediate pro. It is super cool to do stuff on, like having apps be completely full screen is something that is super awesome, like Instagram or Twitter. Having Twitter being completely full screen. These are things that like you'd never expect from something like a phone. It's really cool to just be scrolling through on a tablet. Reading emails is super easy. Googling stuff, reading articles, super good at that. Like about this phone over other phones, and one of my biggest things was I hated the fingerprint biometric on the Galaxy S10. I hated it because you had to put your finger directly in the middle of the screen. It was just on the screen. It didn't recognize it sometimes. Sometimes it just said fuck you and just didn't recognize your finger. You couldn't get screen protectors without little cutout holes in it or sticky patches that just didn't end up working ever. So when I found out that the fingerprint sensor on the power button was a thing on this phone, I was like, okay, that's an instant great idea. And it is. I love it. It's literally, instead of clicking into your power button every time, you just place your finger on it and it opens up the phone. It's super convenient. I have had problems in the past though where I'll like put my finger in my pocket and I'll like touch the power button with my finger and then my phone will turn on, but you just put on automatic turn off so your phone doesn't drain battery. And it doesn't happen that often, so it's really not that big of a deal. The camera quality on this phone is fantastic. I love the camera quality on it. It is beautiful camera, beautiful pictures I've taken with it. I think it's one of the best cameras I've had. I mean, for the price, I'd hope so. The display, tablet mode screen is just something to be marveled at. It is very cool. It's a beautiful screen. I'm pretty sure it uses OLED display. Don't quote me on that. I don't actually know. I'll look it up after this video. Editing Brandon, tell me if I'm right or wrong. And the cool things is that the camera on the tablet screen will actually cover itself with pixels. So you pretty much never use that inside screen camera. I think I've used it for video calls on Snapchat before, and people can't really tell the difference, but it's only 4 megapixels, so it's not that good compared to the other cameras on this phone. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Only 50% of you are subscribed, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it, and let's get back to the video.
Oh my goodness.
Honestly, this phone is really cool at most things, but I have a lot of gripes with it, and I think I'm going to go over the negatives. Gripe number 1, this phone, when in, I think they call it candy bar mode, which is why I have given myself a background of a Hershey's chocolate bar, is interesting, because it's not the standard aspect ratio of your phone. It's a lot skinnier, and it's a lot taller as well. Now, this does impair your keyboard thumb skill. I think I fat finger keys a lot more on this than on a normal phone. The other problem I have is aspect ratio, and this is the biggest one about this phone. See, I got this phone because I thought it'd be great to switch from having a phone where I just watch videos, because that's mainly what I do on these, is watch YouTube when I'm like at work or out in public and stuff like that, waiting for things. So instead of watching YouTube on a small phone screen, I'd get to watch it on a big tablet screen. That's not the case with this. The aspect ratio, and even in the commercials they show, don't link up. So first off, in its folded mode, apps like TikTok are super weird, because first off, it cuts off most of the screen, and also there's just this weird black bar at the top of space because the aspect ratio. The other thing about this is TikToks is some of the filters, most of them actually, don't work on this phone. I've had it so often where I'm like, oh, here's a Pokemon filter that randomly picks a Pokemon, and then it says it's not compatible with this device. So I'll have to favorite it and then go to my old phone to use the filter, which is kind of dog. Now, my biggest gripe with this, what I wanted to use this phone for the most was YouTube in full screen. Now, obviously I knew YouTube was gonna be weird in its candy bar mode, which it is. It has giant black bars on the side, which, you know, I understood. But when you open the phone up, almost all videos have these giant black bars at the top, and they are very noticeable to me. Now, some people may be saying, yeah, but it's still bigger than a normal phone screen. Not by much, and I think it's very noticeable. Also, if you pinch to zoom, a lot of the times it will cut off certain aspects of the video. Like if you're watching someone with face cam, it can just cut off their face cam or cut off gameplay. If you're watching like a podcast where it's just the person's face, you can zoom in and it's not going to impair you too much, but otherwise it's not that good. This is the main reason I got it, and there are some, you know, exceptions to this rule, like old anime. Like I watched Bleach recently, and Bleach, the older episodes, fit this phone's aspect ratio perfectly, and it didn't cut off anything, and it fit perfectly in the screen. And for some reason, a couple of YouTube videos I found out also have this aspect ratio, specifically Alpharad's Deltarune playthroughs. So, Alpharad, if you somehow see this video, then please explain. Do you set the aspect ratio differently for those videos? Curiosity, because I don't honestly know. But otherwise, most videos end up in this ratio with the bars at the bottom and top. I have found a app solution for this called Nook. It's a YouTube like off extension brand thing, and it allows you to, well, watch YouTube videos, but you can do all sorts of customization. One of them is they have a stretch to fill option, so it takes up the whole screen. And this is primarily what I use to watch most of the videos because it uses the full screen of the tablet. I really hope YouTube finds a way to figure out how to make all videos like that, but I very much doubt it. The other gripe I have with this phone is the cost. Obviously, the cost is super high, and because of that, the first couple weeks, I babied the shit out of this phone. This phone I babied the most out of any phone I've ever had. For reference, I was a truck driver when I bought this phone, and now I'm a manager at a store. So when I was a truck driver, I did not want to take this anywhere with me outside of the truck because I was afraid that it'd get smashed. I had broken my previous phone because I dropped the desk on it, and I was really not trying to do that with this phone because this one cost a lot more than this one. So I babied it a lot, and I felt like I wasn't really getting the use of it. Now that's kind of worn off. I just kind of carry it in my pocket. I know that it's an expensive piece of technology, and I still kind of baby it, but I know what to do. And that gets me into the other thing, cases. I can buy an OtterBox case for this and throw it at a wall, and it will probably survive, right? The problem with this phone is the cases are hit or miss with these. A lot of the cases add bulk to the phone. Especially since this phone is already bulky, this thing feels like a brick in your pocket with most cases. I've bought a couple of them, and not all of them are the best. Some of them wrap completely around the hinge, which just makes it this giant brick, and then some of them just clip onto the front and back like this one. This is the best one I've found so far, because it gives it the most bulk so that, you know, nothing's gonna damage the phone, but also allows me to have something like a kickstand. Problem is the fact that, you know, that's it. It just slides on and off. So the case will come off every now and then again in your pocket. It also kind of cuts off some of the front screen. It's not too bad though. You just push it off to the side and that's pretty good. Some of these cases come with stickers. I don't know how I feel about sticking my phone to my case, so I don't use them. The case seems to stay pretty well on the phone. I had cases where they don't fit in the holder in my car, or they're just really, really bulky, or they have no protection at all and they're really flimsy. It's a lot. Screen protectors for this thing are nearly impossible to find just because of the aspect of this screen, and then you're never going to find anything for the big screen. Also, I wouldn't trust it because the big screen is very fragile, being plastic and obvious. Another thing I want to talk about, one of the main questions I get is, do you notice the crease in the middle of the screen when in tablet mode? No, I barely notice the crease. When you're up close to it, you barely notice it. Honestly, the crease only I ever notice is if I fold it in half like this. But even then, it's like very minute and minuscule. I haven't noticed anything with it. It's pretty much not there anymore. So if you're worried about seeing the crease, it's not that big of a deal. Another gripe I have with this phone is the placement of the microphone. The placement of the microphone is interesting because the mic is on the bottom of the phone, like most phones, like the same as my phone. The only difference is where my finger seems to lie. When I am holding my phone and talking to people, my finger, usually my pinky, will end up over the microphone, and then it ends up blocking or muting me or making a popping sound because I'm moving my finger across it. And for a while I couldn't figure out why this was different with this phone than with my other phone. And then it took me a while to look at it and realize that they're on opposite sides of the phone. Before, if I held my Galaxy S10 like I do my Galaxy Z Fold, my finger's going over the headphone jack, and the mic is completely free on the other side of the phone. Whereas there is no headphone jack, and my finger's going straight over the mic this time. They could just move the mic over one, and that would solve my problem, or I could hold my phone differently, but the first couple months, I wasn't really regimented into that, so that's the problem I found myself having. Especially since holding down the record buttons on most things, this is the comfortable formation of my fingers. Whereas I can just move them up, but since the record button's all the way down here, it just feels more natural to have my finger down here. So, in all honesty, would I buy this phone 6 months ago if I knew all the stuff about this now? No, I don't think I would have. I think I would have either stayed with this phone or gone with the Note. I do regret it a little bit, but I've already bought the phone, so I'm gonna stick it out with it. I do think that there's a lot of things that can be improved on this. It's new technology, obviously, so there's still a lot of kinks that they've got to iron out, and it's not there just yet. It's still a good phone, I just don't think it's the best phone for me. I think that a lot of the things I want to do with it, I can just do on a normal phone. And honestly, picking up my old phone, I realized how much I miss the bigger form of a screen. The The actual bigger screen fits my hand better. Watching YouTube videos even isn't that much different than watching it on this phone. The black bars at the side of the screen that you usually get from this phone are a lot smaller and less noticeable than the big ones when you're in tablet mode on this one. So there's a lot to be desired from this phone. I'm going to stick out with it for as long as I can. Eventually I probably will end up replacing this and going back to an older phone, but I just wanted to get my thoughts out there because a lot of people ask me about this phone and they're like, do you like it? Do you not like it? And I give them an answer because it's in the end. I think in all honesty, if I had to rate this phone out of 10, I think it gets like a 4 or a 5. It's not high on the scale. There's a lot of problems with it. I don't think I should have bought this phone, but I did anyways. Mostly as a flex, I won't lie, but also because I wanted to see what it would be like to have a phone that was a tablet. But honestly, it just isn't what I was expecting. So this is my honest review of the Galaxy Z Fold 3. If there's any updates to it, like if I ever see that YouTube, for some reason, all of the videos start to fit the form of the screen, I'll make another video. But for the most part, this phone is probably a 4 out of 10 in my book. And that's all I have to say. Check you guys later. Peace. Having that be full screen or... Welp.